Hey guys, welcome to another session of Ninja Hack. So today we'll be talking about some other methods that are used for enumerating Active Directory, during penetration testing. Um, During our last session, we were able to achieve these tasks. First of all, we used Nmap to scan our Active Directory, and we were able to discover remote code execution vulnerability in SMB version 1. This vulnerability allows us to remotely access or connect to the Active Directory, and run certain payload. And secondly, we're able to exploit the SMB vulnerability, using Metasploit models, right? Then thirdly, we're able to carry out some local or network recon, using the nets command utility to list the list of active users, active local groups within the Active Directory, and domain groups also within the Active Directory to gather, as much sensitive information as we can within the Active Directory, But the net command utility tool seems to be like a manual way of gathering information, because you have to gather information one at a time, so that's why we are having this session to see if there are other tools that we can use to seamlessly gather as much information as we can on the Active Directory during enumeration phase. And lastly, we're able to also establish a backdoor by creating a normal domain user and escalating the privilege of that user by adding the user to a domain, an admin group on the Active Directory. So now, without wasting much time, let's review our enumeration tags. We're able to establish most of these tags using the net command utility tool. But like I said, it's a manual process. You have to carry out, you have to run the tool each time you are trying to gather information. Like as you can see, we have about 10 tags here. That means you have to run that the tool. You have to execute that tool like about 10 times because it's a manual process. But on this session, we'll be looking at how we can use automated tools, to enumerate the Active Directory. The first tool we'll be talking about is the LdapDomainDump, right? So it's a tool that is used to dump Active Directory. So as you can see, the LDAP domain dump tool, it's also an Active Directory information dumper. It's using LDAP protocol. So it's basically used to dump the list of, as you can see, domain group, domain users, domain computers, domain policies, domain trust, right? So basically it helps us to gather all the users, the group, the computers, the policy on our domain, seamlessly. So that's the difference between using this automated tool and using the nets, command utility on the CMD. So aside from the LDAP domain dump, we also have the AD recon, which is also an automated tool that can help us extract information on the Active Directory. But the difference between the AD recon and the LDAP domain, dump is that if you're going to use the AD recon, you have to run it on a workstation that is connected, to the environment, right? So you have to use probably a window system that's connected to the domain. But based on our scenario, we have an attacker machine, which is a Kali, which is not connected to the domain of that, is not connected to the Active Directory. It has its own domain. So that's why I'll be using the LDAP domain dump tool and not the AD recon, but both two are great tools that you can use. So let's go on to our lab just immediately. Okay. Yeah, let me log in. So I'm logging into the attacker's machine, which is Kali as a victim. Okay, so this is a review of what we did on our previous session. We're able to use, like I said, use the mmap scan to list the open ports, the services that we have. As you can see, these are ports. And like I said, I was able to establish that the IP address is it belongs to an Active Directory because we have Kerberos, Microsoft Windows Kerberos service running on port 88, you know, and also you can see SMB protocols are open, right? You can see SMB ports 135, 139, you can see 445. So that is SMB running on TCP IP. That is on port 445. These ports are all open. So that is how we are able to exploit the vulnerability, which is that exists on SMB version 1. And we also carry out mmap vulnerability scan. And these are the list of vulnerabilities that we saw. Specifically, what we used during the exploit was this. You can see a remote code execution vulnerability that exists on SMB version 1. So this was what we used. Now, for us to run the LDAP, domain dump, the first thing that we need to do is to install. We have the instruction below. We have, I'm so certain that you don't have it on your Kali, so you have to, run the dependencies and install the tool. Then after installing the tool, then we can check the arguments that are used using the help-help h, to see the various arguments that are used, So currently I've installed the tool. Let's check. So I'm going to just open a new shell. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to my desktop folder. All right. So this is ls list. You can see I have the tool already installed, right? So you can go check on it. So these are the list of tools that we have. This is the tool. It's a Python script, that we are going to be running against our Active Directory. And like I said, we can view the arguments, right? You can view the arguments by domain dump -h, right? So that this will list first. Okay, so guys, you can see these are the list of arguments that we're going to be using. So let's take a brief moment to see. So what we have here is this. We have the LdapDomainDump. Then we specify -u, the username, right? Specify the password -p, the password, right? Then I think also we also have some options here for NTLM. You can specify the -o, I think for outputs, which directory you want to put it. You can also see -- no HTML, no JSON, no grep, no group JSON. So of course, I don't want my results as a JSON file or grep. So I just want the result as an HTML file because it will be easy for me to open the result, right? So we are going to specify some of these arguments. So let's just go ahead. Right. So it is. Okay. And okay. So we have these. So we have LDAP domain dump. Then don't forget that's just user. Then during our previous session, we're able to establish um, several information. One of which is that our what's it called? Our the name of our domain of our Active Directory domain is let me see if we have that on our yeah, on our mmap scan. Just to confirm, you can see the domain is jovo.local. You can see jovo, that's the name of the domain. So we're going to specify that, right? We're going to specify that on the commands. So let's go back. Okay, so I'm going to specify this, so it will be domain. You guys get it. Let me just go back. Okay, so user to be, okay, you can see that's user, domain, then the username, right? Password, that's password, then you specify the password, then you specify the output, right? Then also some of these parameters so that we don't get our results as a JSON in JSON or grep format. So that's what I want you guys to be cleared of. So right now, I'm just going to run the command again. So that's just user, then the domain, like I said, Jovo, then we are going to do then the name of the user. So don't forget, like I said, we created a normal user using the net command during our previous session. And the name of the user we created is Niger, right? So then we specify our password, right? So we created a password too, which is at 23, right? So we also move on to specify our LDAP. So we're going to do this. Then the IP address too. So like I said, the LDAP domain, from our description, said it uses LDAP, right, to dump Active Directory information. So we're going to connect to the Active Directory using LDAP. That's why we are writing this format, which is 192.168.8, right? 103, which is the IP address of the Active Directory. Then we're going to use the LDAP port, which is 389, right? So next thing we're going to specify is our output, 0. So I'm just going to put LDAP scan result, right? So this is the name of our output file. Then, like I said, I don't want the output in JSON format, right? So I'll put no JSON, right? No JSON, then also no grep, right? So I think we are good to go. Check. Yeah. Okay. So no JSON, no grep. Specify this password, the username, right? Let's see. Yeah, you can see these formats, LDAP, the host, then the port, to connect to the Active Directory, right? So I'm not sure there's no example, but I think this is clear enough. Okay, so let's just go back to our machine. First of all, let's see if we can ping, which is very important. Let's see if we can ping our Active Directory. Yeah, we can reach it. So let's go on to run this command. Okay. Sorry guys. Okay, let's go on to run this command. Let's see. Okay, so you can see the bind was connected, then domain dump finished. So you can do this, right? We are currently within the, you can see we have the LDAP scan result and change directory to that part. Right, so we do the cd to change directory, and we do the ls to see the list of, you can see just HTML files very quickly. Unlike our previous session where we had to use the next command utility to get this manually, each time. So just running a single command, we're able to dump a whole lot of information. So let's go view those information one at a time. So let me just go open the folder. Okay, so we are in desktop, LDAP domain. So we can see scan and see our results. So I'm just going to, yeah, time. So we can see domain computers. So these are list of computers on the Active Directory. So we can see domain computer by OS. You can see the list of domain group, which will list we enumerate the list of groups on the Active Directory. You can see our policy. It also shows the list of policies that we have, the list of trust, domain trust.html, the uh, just a minute, guys. Just waiting for the browser to pop up. Okay. Yeah. I don't know what's happening to Firefox. Guys, let me just okay. So guys, um, these are the results that we have, and these are the HTML output. We can see that this shows us the the list of computers. You can see domain computers.html. This shows us the list of computers that we have on the Active Directory. Like I said, we just have just one computer that is connected to the AD. And this is showing us some of the details, the DNS hostname, right? The operating system, right? You can see the OS version, the last login time, right? When it was created, the SID. So also this is the information for the DC, the domain controller itself. It's also running Windows Server 2012, right? So basically this kind of give us a very seamless result. You can also see this is also computer by operating system, just in case we have several operating systems, maybe Windows, Windows 10, Windows 7 or the likes. This will help us to enumerate all those details. So also we have domain, the list of groups that we have on the domain. You can see this is the logistic I created during the first session using the net command utility. You can see it here, right? It's a security group, right? We can also see other groups that we have on the ED. See protected user, DNS admin, right? You can see enterprise read-only domain controller. If we scroll down, you can see the account operator, we can see the domain users, domain guests, the domain admin, right? You can see all the columns showing members of the group, right? And some sort of description, when it was created, when it was changed, right? So this is giving us some useful information about our Active Directory, highlighting the list of the total groups, list of groups that we have, domain groups that we have on the AD, and you can see administrator groups, right? So this is giving us an overview of how the Active Directory looks like. Of course, then we can go on to see the policy. This is more like the password policy that is currently configured. You can see the local time. This will, if attackers get this kind of information, it will help them, especially during brute force attack, to know when to stop so that they don't get locked out, right? So you can see the maximum password age, the minimum password age, the minimum password length, and the likes. So, this kind of give us the policy, the password policy that is enabled for each connected device on the network, so you don't have any domain trust. So this is also the list of users, giving us a very good pictorial view of the list of users. You can see the names, the member of the groups they belong to. You can see this was the user we created during our previous session using the net command utility. So we can see domain admin. This user is a domain admin. We can also see the service account of the Active Directory, KRB TGT, right? You can see information around it. You can see it is the key distribution center service account, right? You can see all the users and the groups they belong to, which are very, very useful information. Why? Because this will help us to, filter out who exactly are the administrators. And, attackers like to focus on privileged users, so this will help us focus on privileged users during our attacks, and also you can see the last logon dates and the likes, what other information do we have? Okay, the administrators. So this is what is one of the most important information that we've enumerated, giving us a list of administrators that we have on the what's it called, on the Active Directory. You can see the domain users. So this is domain users by group, so domain users that we have, these are normal users. So the domain admins, you can see these are the domain admins, the enterprise admins, domain computers, the RODP users, the schemas admins. So this is a very useful information for us, especially during the enumeration phase. This kind of gives us how the structure, how the Active Directory is being structured, right? Okay, so basically that's how the LDAP, domain dumps work. Just run some couple of commands and that's all. But like I said, we can also carry out some enumeration using the Metasploit, so I'm just gonna minimize it. So I think I have Metasploit open. So let's go into Metasploit. Okay, come on. So we're going to be looking at how we can use Metasploit to enumerate the Active Directory. So first of what we'll look at is, first of all, we need to establish this session. First is to establish this session, and we'll be using the PSSX just like we did the last time. And so first thing first, let's look out and search for the module. Search PSSX. Okay, so these are the list of PSSX modules that we have on Metasploit. Don't forget this, the PSSX also work just like the Windows system internal PSSX that is used to remotely access system within a network, other system within a network. So it just work just basically the same method of operation. And one other good thing is that it does it's clean up its tags after its operation. What that means, just like we have 5-stage during the attack queue chain, the first being scanning enumeration, then we have gaining access, maintaining access, then covering the track. So what this mode does is it also has a functionality to cover track, to clean up its operation. So for this, we are going to be using the SMB, because we have SMB protocol that is open. The ports 139 to 135 and 445 is open. So let's take a look at what we have. You can see we have an exploit. So we are looking for exploit, right? So we are going to use this exploit here. So let me just put there. So take a look at the number, which is 4. So instead of writing it out, we just use 4, right? Okay. So we see we'll load up our Metasploit module. Then let's take a look at the options that are available for us to configure. You can see we have certain required options like the remote host. The remote port is already configured. Then we have SMB pass and SMB user. So don't forget, we were able to create a backdoor user called Niger, right? And the password. So we are just going to use that SMB user and password. So first of all, we are just going to set our remote host to the IP address of the AD. So let's do that to set remote host and see. So 192.168.8.103, right? Then the next we are going to do is to set our set the port. Yeah, set the remote port. So 445, right? Now, also we are going to set the SMB user and the SMB pass. So let's do SMB user, SMB user, right? So the SMB user here is Niger, right? You can see, then we're going to set the SMB pass. Okay, so which is the password that we created, during the creation of Niger, the normal user, right? So make sure you type that correctly. Then let's take a look at our option again. So just just like I said, the PSSEC, sorry, well, just exactly like the system internal PSSEC feature that we have on Windows. So we have all the sets, okay. Then we can run our exploit. Hopefully we can get a shell, right? Hold on just a minute. Okay, guys, you can see we have a shell, right? We have a shell. That means we have a shell connecting remotely to the AD. So we can do get URL. Let me just see before to confirm. Sorry, extension to load. Okay. Let's see. It's UID. Okay, I think I might need to. That's it. Okay, so let's see list of sessions that we have. Okay, so I'm not sure we have sessions. We don't have any other sessions. Okay, so I might need to run this exploit again. Fully. So okay, guys, you can see we have so I run the exploit again. So sometimes I notice you might need to run it 1 or twice or even up to 3 times, so until you successfully get a session open. As you can see, you have a session open. This is the IP address of my attacker, and this is the IP address of the AD. You have a session doing a sysinfo. You can see that these are the details of the AD. Then let's take a look at the current. You can see these are informations of the Windows, the AD, running on Windows Server 2012. Then let me do get user ID. Right, you can see currently this to confirm that we are running the system highest privilege, right, which is a very good thing. In case you are not run, maybe you run the get user ID and you see that you're running as a local admin, you can do the get system to escalate your privilege, right? You see, so this will help you escalate the current user ID to to the highest user ID on that on the victim system, which is system running on NT authorities system privilege, right? So we can also take a look at some other commands that are useful, especially, for example, if you want to check running process, we can do this to see all running process, to see this will show you all running process on the AD, right? This will give you a view of, okay, what kind of processes are running on the AD. Is there a process for antivirus? Basically, you just want to check through, And because this is an AD, we can't run the hash dump command to dump hash. Why? Because you can only run the Metasploit, the meterpreter hash dump command for normal Windows systems that have SMA file, that is the security account manager file that stores credentials. But on the AD stores its credentials on the ntds.dit file, so we can use that command, right? So at this stage, let us go back so that we can now start running some commands on how to enumerate our Active Directory. So I'm going to just go on with this background to put this session on the background. You can see, so we can check how many sessions we have active, right? I think that should have an X, I guess so. Sessions would be about, okay. So you can see, guys, we have 2 sessions, right? We have 2 sessions, so we can select any of them, you know, on that machine. So right now, I'm just going to start. Let's take a look at some. I think we might just need to search, right? Let's take a look at some commands. So let me search for enum. Yes, let's see if they, okay, so we have num. So these are some commands that we could run to gather information, right, on the AD. There are a lot of exploits. There's so much enumerates that we can do, you know. So, but what we want to do is more of the post exploitation, something like this. You can see. So I'm just going to, yeah, I'm just going to run with these guys. So you can either copy this. So this will show you. So as you can see, this is an exploit payload that will enumerate Active Directory computers, list of computers. This will enumerate the group. You can see AD users. So you're just going to run some of this command and see the output. So I like using their numbers. Let me just take note of the numbers here. What we have is okay. So we even have shares. Just a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to start with computers. So which is number 146. So what we can do is this, we can use, say, just use 146, right? You see, that's it, that's the number. Then the next thing we're going to do is, let's do it options. Let's get to see what is available for us to use, right? So we can see that what is available here is for us to set our session. Okay, it's required. It's not required. What else is available? The filter is set already. So let's go on to the session. So let's say set session. Right. So we have 2 and number 2 and number 3 session currently available. So if you want to check that again, you can do sessions I, right? You can see 2 and 3. So what we'll just do here is just to set sessions, right? Then pick either any of them. You see, we currently have a session for 2, right? So you could just quickly run an exploit to see, right? So just hold on. You could see this is giving us computers. These are the 2 lists of computers. Don't forget, just like we have here, we had these, you can see. So this is giving us the same results, right, that we have from our LdapDump domain dump results. If we go back to check our Metasploit, as you'll see, we have the same result. So we can quickly also go back, we can scroll up to pick a new number. I think what we did initially was 146. So we could do for 80 users 151. So this is just a very simple command, guys. You just need to understand the format and what exactly you're looking for. So I'm just gonna do 140. Sorry, I use that. I use that number again. 151. Yeah, we have 151. Then also, yeah, 151. We also have, you can see, can do a list of patches 153, right? You can see credentials, LDAPs, DBs, you know, BitLocals, you know. So there's so much here that we can actually run, guys. You just need to take your time to look at it. So you can see 163 for computers. So 151 and 163, that would be very good. Oh no. Okay. So let's do, oh, I need to change it and use 163. Let's take 163. Okay, so to enumerate users, let's see the various options that are available. Okay, so just set a session. Let's set our session to 2, right? Then we can just quickly run an exploit. This should then be, I think the other one is 151. Right. Okay, so couldn't get any results. Yeah, and with computers. So let's see. Do we have any active sessions? Which are okay. So I'm just going to use 151. Use 151. Don't forget, this is 80 and with the list of users on the 80. Then you can also do an option you get to see what is available for us to set. So I can see the required, we have session still not set, right? So let's go ahead and set our session. Set session, right, to 3. Let's see, then we do like run. Okay, so this command operation failed. Okay, see if we can ping show why failing. Okay, so we can see connect to the machine. Okay, failed, operation failed. We could not enumerate the list of users. So what else do we have? Let's scroll up. Okay, so users, let's talk about application. Is it possible for us to enumerate the list of application on the server? So just going to look out for applications. So you can quickly run and do like a search. All right. So this my guess. Okay, so we have an exploit for that too. We have a module for that. So let's quickly load up the module. So I think that is 0, right? So we're going to use 0 here. So let's see the options that are available for us set. I think it's just a session that we can set. So guys, let me take a look at the session once more. Okay, the session is set. Let's do some exploit. right? Okay, guys, you can see this. These are list of applications. You know, just unlike the other domain dump, we couldn't get a list of applications. You see, this is just a few we could gather, but using Metasploit, we can see that we can gather a lot of applications, the list of applications currently running on the AD. You see, go Chrome, you can see a list of applications. So this is also very important information. This will help us to see if the AD have some sort of antivirus, anti-malware, or application application control solutions, you know, that can hinder our penetration testing activities. So, you know, we could also go on to list, I think I saw at the time, patches. Okay, let's look at services. So we'll take a look at application. Let's see, do we have services? Let's do a search for services, right? Let's see if we have, okay, we have the model for service. Let's load that up. We're going to use one, right? So then let's see the options that are available, right? You can see, we can just quickly set up a session, right? You can choose C, two, right? See it up again. See our session is set. Then we can run our exploit. Right. You can see new service credential detected. Services. Wow, you have a lot of services currently running on the AD, as you can take a look at on the screen. See MySQL, you can see DNS. So these are majorly all list of services showing us which credentials the services are using to run. Some of the services are running with NT authority, some are running with local system, you know. So this kind of gives us a very good information, visibility around the Active Directory, the server itself, you know. So it's a very good one. And like I said, we can also create new users. We can create new users even using the Metasploit, just like we did using the Nets command utility tool. So much we can do, you know, with this. On our next session, we'll be looking at how we can dump the one of the most sensitive information on the Active Directory, which is the ntds.dit file. So we're going to use Metasploit to dump that remotely to our system. Then we are going to also see how we can extract the hash file, right? So thank you guys for this session. If you have any questions, hit me up. Thank you.